back, everyone, and this is our roundtable discussion. I am joined here by our speakers who you heard from a while ago. So let me just briefly introduce them. I am here with Assistant Professor Supachai from Thailand, Mr. Oliver Tien from Singapore, Mr. Jang Kyung-hun from Korea, Mr. Fadi Amoudi from the United Arab Emirates, and Dr. Khaled Al-Hasmi from Saudi Arabia. All right, let me now go around the room because all of you gentlemen are experts in your markets. So can you tell us in 2 to 3 sentences, how can you describe the current robotic developments in your countries? All right, let me start with Southeast Asia. So Assistant Professor Supachai from Thailand, how is it looking like?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Again, in Thailand, I think the landscape of robotics is quite, I would say, is increased. The market is increased, and it's like everyone try to catch up with the robotics and implement in the industries as well as the other sectors like healthcare and medicals and every place. So right now it's very good, and right now we get the policies and we get a lot of strategies to increase all the demand and supply as well. So I would say very good situation right now.
All right. And how's it like in Singapore, Oliver?
Yeah, actually robotics has been one of the hot topics in this part of the world for a long time, right? Working with our Malaysian counterpart and Thai counterpart. And of course, over the years, with great support from Korea, we have advanced a lot. Actually, I must say, the webinar today brings across a lot of very interesting discussions from the different countries. So I think we should leave it a lot to our guests to share their experience, right?
Sure.
And see how we can blend certain things together, right? So maybe we go to Mr. Zhang.
Yes, Mr. Zhang. You're on mute.
Yeah, hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, now in Korea, I think the collaborative robot market is very increasing. So I think currently total 4 collaborative robot companies in the Korea, and then in the industrial there are so many various of demands and the requirements now asked to me and the other SI company. So also the government helped the R&D support to the collaborate robot. That is very positive. So I think all thing is very positive, and then the new demands and the new requirement is create a new robot and then can develop the new technology, I think.
Okay, so let's move over to the Middle East. Dr. Khaled, how can you describe the robotic developments in Saudi Arabia?
Well, I believe the nowadays Middle East or GCC countries, they do have a kind of a vision towards the next 10 years. I believe having like Saudi Arabia, they have ambitious plan to be the logistic hub for the region. With that being said, that means more automation has to be part of this, part of this vision. Yet most of the robotics companies, I believe I explained it a bit in my presentation, the research, development, and innovation is a bit at the early stages. However, the technology yet not mature as industry in the region. We're consumer of the technology. I would say that there is fast growing of robotics adoption and robotics startups, robotics companies, international companies coming to the region to expand their business. With that vision and the amount of investment that Saudi Arabia is putting toward that vision, I believe it will be very attractive for for robotics companies to move to the region, specifically to Saudi Arabia, to have part of the share the market.
Okay, that's great. And over at the UAE, Mr. Fadi, is it similar? You are on
Thank you,
mute.
doctor.
Okay,
Thank you,
there
doctor.
you go.
So, yes, of course, the adoption of robotics is increasing in our region and in the UAE. We started with ourselves by deploying the first 40 robots in-house for IQ, and that we are talking about an AMRs and AGVs, and we deployed a solution of 160 robots for another basically facility. In an expansion in our region, we're looking to move to Saudi Arabia eagerly, as Doctor mentioned that there's a huge vision of expansion over there. So we're looking to open in Saudi Arabia and Riyadh specifically our first facility with around 100 plus robots to start with, and that's under IQ fulfillment. And we're looking to deploy a team of 50 to 100 people in IQ robotics that would, of course, transform everyone else in the logistics sector. What we did and what we built with IQ Hybrid is our asset light expansion model. So it's a plug and play entire solution with warehouse management systems, order management systems, robotics, transformations, SOPs, which it's laying down the groundwork for anyone that wishes to transform. Because in our region, you have to see to believe, right? We did our part. We're showing everyone what we did in terms of our POC, running operation, and so on. So it is more easable for everyone to transform. Right now, we see a lot of interest from everyone that, you know what, they want to transform. Before, they used to talk to people, we like it, let's see later on. Now, people are more educated about the need of robotics and what it stands for in terms of having a succession plan for the transformation of any industry in general.
Okay, that's looking rosy. So thank you everyone for providing the present, the current. Now I'd like you all to look into the future, 5 or 10 years from now. How do you see robotics adoption changing in your particular countries or in the region for that matter? So let's start with the Middle East first. Who would like to take this question? Maybe we start with Dr. Khaled.
Yes, sure. So the robotics market in Middle East is driven by the growing demand for robotic automation solutions. In addition, the increasing adoption of robotics in diverse fields of applications is expected to trigger the robotics market in the Middle East toward witnessing a compound annual growth rate of almost, I don't know, 5 to 10 during the next 4 to 5 years. According to study by Aramco, one of the major oil companies, the market for robot in case A is expected to grow at approximately 15% annually until 2025, reaching I don't know I mean equivalent to around 4 billion by 2025, which can represent an attractive opportunity for local and international robotics companies. In addition, robotics is already active in few sectors of Saudi Arabia, namely maybe manufacturing, oil and gas, civil services. And many other sectors need robotics adoption to facilitate their workflow.
Okay. Professor Supachai, what is your take on this? 5 to 10 years from now in the Southeast Asia region, how is it going to look like?
Okay, I think I'm gonna divide into two groups. First one is about industrial robotics, and another one is service robots. So I think in industrial robotics, I think it's keep going, and I think right now, as I say, a lot of people think that okay, they really need to have the robots and automations in the factory. So I would say the percentage is gonna go up very fast. And one more thing about a service robot, I think this is more interesting, especially in this COVID-19 situations. It's like a lot of hospitals And previously they don't know much about robots. They don't need any robots actually,
Mhm.
but right now everyone get this concern.
Right.
And I would like to say every hospitals and even the home care and even in restaurant and everywhere they know
Mhm.
robot and want to implement the robots. So I think according to this trend, it's going to go up so fast as well. Yeah.
All right. So I guess the common theme is that the adoption will continue to grow, and so in the future that is being described, how do you see your countries building up talents? What needs to be done to get to that future? So Oliver, what do you think?
I see that actually robotics are going to grow in a tremendous way around the different region. Today, this panel allows us to look at Southeast Asia, Middle East, and of course Northeast Asia, right, led by Korea. I believe in the long run, at least a 5 to 10 years time, I hope we will be able to find an opportunity where the different parties are going to come together and we can collaborate across boundaries to actually lead the way to bring greater technology to the people. But that's probably going to be important. And I guess I like the vision that Dr. Song provided at the opening, right? The megatrends and future industries, with the actually collaboration between Mass Robotics and Hyundai Robotics. I'm very sure, right, that collaboration will bring tremendous benefit to society. So maybe we can really build up a hub in Middle East, a hub in Southeast Asia, and a hub in Northeast Asia, and the three hubs could work together collaboratively for greater innovation.
Okay, and Mr. Fadi, what is your take on building up talents to support this growth?
Yes. So, if I may add, uh, we just to add some view on the question before that that's related to talent in general. We're looking at the 555 plan, which is we want to achieve a top line revenue of $500 million in robotics and automation, and deploy over 5,000 robots in five continents. We're looking at the MENA region to spearhead that transformation. That's if we're going to start within from our own facilities and from everyone else that wishes to transform. As Dr. Khalid mentioned before, Saudi Aramco is one of the biggest oil companies in the world, and you would be really surprised in how much they can utilize robotics, whether it is from their engineering departments to the spare parts department to so on. And that's not only in terms of oil and gas, that's your oil and gas sector, your port sector, your communication sector, and so on. So there are other uses for robotics that can really add value other than your regular logistic and e-com sector. That's one. For us to achieve such a plan, we maintain that within the 5-year plan, we're going to reach up to 1,000 people under within IQ itself. So if you ask me what's the most challenging part of this, is realistically having the right kind of talent with the right sense of ownership, whether it is locally infused and matured and nourished, or whether internationally. We believe in a human to each interaction, whereby I tell everyone, you know what, robotics alone is not enough. You need human beings, you need people to work with robotics and
Right.
understand robotics. Because at the end of the day, someone is going to also be there to be during that transformation subject. And that's the most really challenging matter that we faced internally. We managed to scale up to 80 people. I believe in order to do that and have safeguard our future is we start earlier in terms of education. So whether it is from schools, from Ministry of Education, and so on, to start enrolling coding classes, developing classes, and so on. Whether it is institutional or governmental, when you come to the education sector, the more we trigger our youth to become better in terms of robotics and automation and understand it more, the more we can be self-dependent. Of course, international experience and expertise from Southeast Asia and all over the world is always welcome to come basically build that with us in our region. And I think it would be a win-win scenario for both.
Right. All right. Thank you for that. And Mr. Jang, over at your side and in Korea, what do you see? How can we build up these talents? You're on mute, Mr. Zhang. Yes. Still on mute. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So in my opinion, I think the development of like a machine learning and like a AI is such as the application of with the robot is to increase the robot market, and that if the machine learning adapt to the robot can do more and more the many things. I think the currently robot markets are very increasing and various service field and other than the industrial field. So this is likely to apply not only just the industrial and to other field like the home and Medicare and anywhere. So we can see the robot anywhere. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. All right. So, can we take a step back and now widen our visioning, because we've been talking about our region, Middle East, Southeast Asia, North Asia, Asia. Now, let's think about the global developments in robotics. So much is happening outside of the region. How do you see foreign robotic companies playing a part in the maturing of the robotics market in your respective countries? And maybe I'll just add to that. Which countries do you think will dominate the robotics market in 10 years? Professor Supachai, what do you think?
I would love to say maybe China, for sure.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, actually, right now in Thailand, for example, I think we see a lot of robotics from China that come to dominate the market, gradually. Okay, although a lot of like Germany and Japanese and another Europe in industry. In industrial robots, they're still there and become in the high level, but most of the new brand new Chinese brand, they get in very quickly, and because of it's not just about the cost, but it's actually the technology inside is improved a lot, and right now I think it's probably is come to very close to the original market that we need, and also a lot of because of diversities in robotics from Chinese companies, they go down to a lot of sectors. Especially for service robot, right now, just from last year actually, I have startup as well from universities, and also we develop some robots for hospital logistics, and it comes down in less than a month that the Chinese companies can get in, and they have all the technology you have right now, and with a cheaper price and things like that to help with COVID-19 and help with a lot of situations. So I think because of this rate of improvement, I think they're going to dominate for sure in the near future. Right.
All right, Dr. Khalid, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, basically, with the advanced technology like robotics, which is advanced technology, I believe the foreign robotics company looking to the region as a buyer of the technology. They want to sell the technology to the region. That's great. However, I would recommend that they need to have a kind of strategic decision of moving their facilities or their production of these robotics to the region, given the fact that the amount of investment or the amount of the government spending on the adoption of the technology to the region, there are, as I mentioned earlier, there are many barriers facing robotics adoption, with having the major robotics companies having their own development and innovation and production in the region would eliminate many of these um, um, barriers, and that means more adoption of the technology in the real life scenarios or real life problems. That means in indirect way that more programs will be there, more understanding, and they will have share of the market in the region, given the amount of spending on these technologies, or not in these technologies, but for example, like Saudi Arabia nowadays, I mentioned earlier, they have a plan to be logistic hub. They are focusing on industry 4.0 technologies. They have a government spending on smart factories, on the automation, on all of the programs that been announced in the last 3 or 4 years that needs, of course, robotics among other emerging technologies. That will build the trust in the local market when those foreign major countries having their own headquarters, or they have a kind of not a sale office in the region, but actual development and production of their products in our region. I believe that's it, Eli.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Khalid. We actually have a question for the panelists, but we'll see if we have time to take that. But now I'd like to post the question to Oliver. And Oliver is the honorary advisor of APARA, organizer of AIBotics. We've worked with several companies in different parts of the world. So how are you going to take this question, Oliver?
Actually, this is a very good platform for us to have some good discussion, right? I clearly see that this 3-hour session is certainly not enough for us to get into a longer debate. In fact, I will moot the idea that perhaps we should have a more structured and longer session for the 3 regions to come together and have more intensive discussions. Because clearly, I can see that there's so much things happening in the Middle East that perhaps a lot of folks in Asia are not aware of. And we can work together in multiple ways, right? One is we can definitely share some of the technology we have in Asia, right? To help with training, to help with deployment methodologies, and also to understand some of your specific needs that you have. And given that in Asia we have a couple of new developments, like what you see Thailand working on, what Malaysia is working on. Singapore has got our own robots. Of course, Korea has got quite a number of robots. We could see how some of this fit into the needs that Middle East have. And I hope over time we can even transfer some of these skills and knowledge across to the Middle East so that you can start to create your own innovation, right? And build your own product, just as what Singapore has benefited from in terms of the Koreans and the Japanese, right? And I'm sure, given all the developments, all the work that's been done in Malaysia, Thailand, as well as Korea, right? We can bring some of this across to Middle East, and likewise, there's definite opportunities for learning that can come from this part of the world. We can learn a lot from Middle East in terms of what the work is happening. I think specifically in the area of medical and rehabilitation technology, right? We are certainly seeing a common application across all regions, right? I mean, COVID-19 is a great example where the benefits can be shared across, right? So the use of robot in medical and rehabilitation industry, be it for Saudi Arabia, be it for UAE, I'm pretty sure some of the experiences we learn from Thailand and Malaysia we can share, right? And likewise, some of the unique propositions that you have in the Middle East, countries in Asia can certainly benefit from it itself. So, it'd be good to hear from Dr. Khalid and Fadi around the use of such technology in the medical and rehabilitation space, because we would love to know what we can do to collaborate and support the local needs in your country. So, Fadi and Dr. Khalid, do you have anything?
Fadi, maybe you can share on
Yes.
how's it like in medical?
In medical, honestly, we did not touch medical that much yet. We were in talks, and we're currently in talks with disinfection robots that go around hospitals and everywhere else. We're in trial runs right now. I think we're gonna have over the first 3 test robots currently. They're arriving in December sometime, just for us to check and see how they are in terms of system. But what matters most to us is not only the robots itself, right? At the end of the day, robots is a part. What matters to us most is what controls the robot. So basically, it's the software solutions behind the robot, whether you produce a robot from 20 components or 100 components. What matters most is the system that works behind those robots, whether it is an RCS, which is a robot control system, whether it is linked to a warehouse control system, or whether it is linked to laser technology and so on. So this is really crucial, and that would add a lot of help, because we're on a path and a roadmap in terms of our own technology in order to develop these. Currently, we are. So we are being self-sufficient in that sense. Where you can add help in terms of medical and so on is as I mentioned before, in terms of seeing what new technologies can be. This is from an infection point of view, but from a surgical point of view and so on, what are there other new technologies? We're specialized in IQ in the logistic part of it, but we are always open to look at other parts, basically, and industries and verticals for sure.
All right. Thank you,
I'll leave
Fadi.
it to Doctor to add more value.
Yes. Actually, Dr. Khaled, we have a specific question that is addressed to you. And this, I think, is a testament to how Saudi Arabia is advanced in the field of medical robot adoption. So this is from K. Kim. And you're being asked, how is the use of robot in the medical and rehabilitation industry in Saudi Arabia? As far as we know, many of the large hospitals have already adopted Da Vinci. So talk to
Yes.
us about this.
Yes. Basically, I have attended meetings with the Ministry of Health, and there is ambitious project that they are working on is in the pharmaceutical sector, where they want to transform the whole pharmacies in the hospitals that belongs to the Ministry of Health to be smart pharmacy. And I believe they have already kicked off that project. I don't know the exact number of how many pharmacies. Already it is completely smart. But already I know that at least 3 or 4 in Riyadh, already they are smart pharmacy. And they are now, the last meeting that I had with them is that they want to go even to the rural areas where also to transform the pharmacies. So this is, yes, it's true. Within the pharmaceutical, there is a vision for the Ministry of Health to transform the pharmacies into also with regards to the rehabilitation sector. Also here in Riyadh, I visited once the Prince Sultan bin Abdulaziz Center for Rehabilitation. Its rehabilitation center is one of the largest rehabilitation center in the region. And of course, they do have robotics within the field of wheelchairs. They do have robotics with the amputees and prostheses. They do have adoption of robotics in that track, and also they have a vision to adopt more robots to their support their patients. I know for a fact that there are, I mean, in the term of surgeries, I know that also in that area it is advanced. Yet I believe go back to they do have robots on the medical for surgeries. However, I would be more than happy if I see that robots, I mean, manufactured in the region. It doesn't need to be a Saudi company, even if it is international or foreign company. However, they need to have that kind of production, even at the minimal level here in the region. That will build the trust, that the maintenance and all of that being easier. Now, one of the largest issue that I believe for the industrial robots, if there is any issue with it, then you need to send it thousands of miles to do the maintenance or whatever. I believe I hope that I answered that question. However, yes, there is ambitious projects here within the medical sector, and they are moving forwards to be smart medical in the near future.
Right. Thank you for that. And
Actually, Al,
okay.
let me
Yes.
jump in and say this. I read and understand what Dr. Khalid is saying, because I think those were situations that most of us face, especially when we don't have local skills to support. So when the machines are not functioning, like you say, you send it to a long distance to get it serviced, right? So having local skills could be key, and that's something which I hope my earlier suggestion around trying to build up 3 hubs and we can work together, both in terms of sharing technology, innovation, as well as transfer of knowledge and skills, would be able to support the local needs. And that's something which maybe with this panel discussion we can table as a suggestion for perhaps Kira to take the leadership in driving such a initiative. So I'll be happy to kind of put that proposal forward, to look to Kira to support us, given that Dr. Song has shared with us such a powerful vision at the beginning of the webinar, right? That's something which we probably should do. And Elle, maybe you could just take this to the final comments.
Right. Okay. So thank you, Oliver, for that. Now, I think we can go on and on with this discussion. There are questions and things that we need to discuss, but we are mindful of your time, and we are very thankful for all of our panelists joining us this discussion. So can I just go around our table and ask for your last comments and inspirational words for our audience who are looking at how robotics can change their lives, their industry, and their community. So I'll start with Mr. Zhang.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, okay, we can hear you now.
Yeah, sorry, I cannot listen to the last question. Could you tell me?
Yeah, and any final comments? We will now be wrapping up our discussion.
Just very happy to join this discussion, and then I want to learn more, and then I will do my job, and I will do best my job, and then I will develop our robotic software, and then something else, and then I hope to see you again. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zhang. Professor Supachai. Yes, any final words for our audience? You're on mute. Yes. Okay.
Yep. Firstly, thank you again for inviting me to this powerful panel session. And so I think actually the robot they are already around us. Okay, and I think more and more we develop, and more we adopt them in our life. I think we tend to make the robot to be our helper, our assistant, to make our life easier. And at the same time, I think the development of ourselves, I mean, the HRD, human resource development, this is very crucial. So we make sure that we do this balance. We take in the robots and we improve ourselves as much as possible. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
thank you for that. And Fadi?
Yes, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure meeting you all. I would just like to leave it with we're ready here to transform. We're on the right path in our region. What is best is yet to come, and we have no limits whatsoever. You know, we could start production, start assembly, but at the end of the day, we need, of course, all of your support and everyone working together in harmony. Thank you.
Thanks, Fadi. No limits. That's. I think that's very inspirational. Dr. Khaled.
Yes, and thank you for inviting me to this fruitful webinar. And I cannot agree anymore with my colleagues in here. I believe robotics is the future, and it will be there in the whole aspects of our life and in the whole sectors. I believe that's it from my end. And thank you, Oliver and Eli, for this arranging this great webinar.
Thank you so much. And now, final words, Mr. Oliver Tien, Honorary Advisor of APARA, who's been tirelessly working for AIBotics Go Digital Series.
Thank you, El. And I guess my thanks to all the panelists and speakers for this event. I believe this is going to be a beginning of a very wonderful journey, right? Looking at Southeast Asian countries working together, the Middle East and the Koreans in terms of how we can look toward mapping out a transformation for the respective countries. I believe there's a lot we can share together. And let this be the beginning of a journey where we can see robotics working with the humans, coexisting together, and forming a very powerful journey for us so that we can lead to a better society, a better life for all of us in the coming future. Right? Thank you, everyone. Back to you, Al.
Thank you so much. And that wraps up our AIBotics Go Digital Series 2021. We've come to our final session, and this is our final minutes. But don't forget, we still have our virtual exhibition open for all of you to visit. And we look forward to seeing you next year, August 2022, hopefully face-to-face. But either way, we'll be together. This is El Kwan, Council Member of APARA and founder of health tech startup MedHive. On behalf of APARA and Constellar, thank you very much for joining us. Have a good evening, and God bless you all. Thank you so much, everyone.